Yeah.
The promenade, the people walking, the people talking.
I grew up in Singapore, which is a country with a zero-tolerance drug policy. So, for most of my life, I thought that drugs were dangerous substances and that governments were keeping people safe by criminalizing them. I slowly changed my mind as I learned about how drugs, from opium in colonial-era China to crack in modern America, have been used to control marginalized populations. Recently, I've discovered that the drug war doesn't just harm people, it harms the environment too through narcodeforestation.
Born and raised in India, even I had a similar outlook towards drugs. But my perception started changing when I was introduced to bigger and most often unknown effects of the war on drugs during my master's education. My anthropology professor, Dr. Jennifer Rendell, always insists that we meet people where they are rather than where we want them to be. And I believe in order to meet people where they are, it is very important that we preserve the environment that they live in and we make sure that we don't take any decisions which can harm the environment. Now, to begin with, let's understand what exactly is narcodeforestation.
Narcodeforestation occurs when drug barons destroy huge areas of forest to facilitate money laundering. It mainly occurs in protected areas of Central American forests and is the result of prohibition and the war on drugs. Drug trafficking has emerged as an important driver of increasing rates of deforestation in Central America, accounting for an estimated 20 to 25% of national forest loss between 2001 and 2013 in countries like Honduras, Guatemala, and Nicaragua. The illicit nature of the drug trade means that drug barons need a front to facilitate money laundering. This usually takes the form of cattle ranching, which involves clearing patches of forest to build a ranch on. The US's strict drug policies have the added consequence of driving drug traffickers into remote areas like biosphere reserves, national parks, and World Heritage sites, as these places are extremely difficult to regulate. Therefore, the brunt of deforestation due to drug trafficking is in areas of high conservation importance. About 30 to 60% of forest clearing in protected areas is due to what researchers call anomalous forest loss. That is, forest loss that is anomalously large, remote, and rapid, and therefore likely to be associated with drug trafficking rather than farming. What can be done about this? First, let's identify the problem. It should be noted that narco-deforestation is due to drug trafficking geared towards avoiding law enforcement. In comparison, the growing of coca plants is a far less significant driver of deforestation. So the criminalization of drugs is a larger problem than their production. Therefore, the solution is to legalize and regulate the drug trade so that the industry can be held accountable to conservation laws.
Now, let us take a step back and think from a different perspective. A perspective which allows us to analyze how such illicit crop eradication measures has not only affected the livelihoods of the people but has created a much larger and often ignored problem, a phenomenon known as the balloon effect. Balloon effect means the production of the crop is never really eradicated. It is simply misplaced from one part to another. This occurs because without any significant decrease in the demand, eradicating the crop from cultivating at one place makes the crop rarer and increases its demand in the market, which in turn affects the supply-demand chain and the cycle continues. Now let's have a look at the graph which explains the balloon effect observed in the areas under coca cultivation in the Andean region. We can clearly see that during the late 1990s and early 2000s, when Peru saw a decrease in the production of coca, there was a boom in coca cultivation in Colombia. Moving on, during the late 2000s, Colombian production fell and there was a rise in coca cultivation in Peru and Bolivia. It is high time that we realize the war on drug is actually the war on humankind, the war on Mother Nature. It is high time that we start implementing evidence-based policies And above all, we keep the environment and the people inhabiting it at the core of every decision that we make.